Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for our first EDH gameplay. This is the first one I've recorded, the first one we've posted, and the first one I edited together. So hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully we'll be putting some more up sometime near in the future. Today we have a 5-color Padeem deck. It is Nick's first EDH deck, so that's why the color is not quite accurate. He didn't realize that he had to make everything in the color scheme of his commander, or in the devotion to his commander, the color identity. So he has 5-color Padeem deck versus a Wade Into Battle Precon deck from 2015 with Gisela at the helm, and I myself playing my Alesha Who Smiles at Death deck. We'll see who can take the victory today. Alright, so we roll to see who goes first. And in the roll, I will be stealing the first minor victory of the game, so I'll be going first. So I play a Haunted Fengraf for my first land, trying to hide my colors. Isaac plays a mountain, and Nick plays Stone Quarry, giving him red and white. On my turn, I play a swamp, and immediately put out a Returned Reveler, giving me the first creature on the battlefield. Isaac on his turn plays a Plains, and a Felwar Stone, ramping up in order to try and work towards getting Gisela on the battlefield. Nick, for his part, plays a Highland Lake, giving him blue, red, and white out of his 5 colors. With no 1-drop, he passes to me. I play a Mountain, giving me everything I need to play Alesha Who Smiles at Death. And doing so, swinging with the Returned Reveler, but rolling to see who I want to deal the damage to, just so we can have a little bit of fun. Since it is high, Isaac takes the damage, putting him down to 39. On his turn, he plays a Plains, and with 4 mana available, he taps 3 of it to play Curse the Nightly Hunt on me, meaning that I will be attacking everything, every single turn. It's an incredibly annoying card, and it deals a lot of damage to the Alesha deck. Nick, on his turn, misses his land drop, but does play a Trusty Companion to put a blocker onto the field, in case I choose to swing him. On my turn, I play a Swamp, and tap 4 to play a Liliana's Shade, searching up and putting a Swamp into my hand. I roll for combat again, and it turns out to be Nick this time, so we swing both at Nick. And since Alesha has first strike, he chooses to block the Returned Reveler, and we all mill 3 cards.
No! Oh, that hurt.
Isaac plays a Mountain on his turn, and with 5 available mana, he taps it all to play Anya the Merciless Angel, which ends up being incredibly valuable through the rest of the game. On Nick's turn, he taps 2, missing his land drop once again to play a Sunhome Guildmage, and passes. I play Plains on my turn, and then tap to play Demonic Dread, which means Isaac cannot block with Anya, and I cascade into a Vampire Aristocrat. Then go to combat with everything, meaning Liliana's Shade and Alesha. Using Alesha's ability, I bring in Soul Devi from the graveyard. Isaac taps 6 mana, playing his Sunrise Sovereign, boosting whatever giants he ends up playing, and swings Anya at me. Plains on Nick's turn, giving him 3 mana he needed to finally play his Burnished Heart. On my turn, another Swamp, and tapping Soul Devi, I sacrifice the Liliana's Shade, adding 4 black mana to my mana pool, which is an awesome ability. Playing a Phyrexian Rager, drawing a card, and losing a life, but leaving 1 floating, I play a Vial of Poison, and then use 1 more mana to play Shriekhorn, and tap it, milling the top 2 of my library. In combat, I swing at Isaac with 3 creatures, or just, well, 2 creatures, but I tap to bring in Elite Scaleguard, swinging at Isaac as well, both bringing Alesha up to a 5/4 with first strike, all swinging at Isaac. He blocks the Vampire Aristocrat with the Sunrise Sovereign, and I get Death Touch, trading the two creatures. A good trade, if I don't say so myself. Isaac plays Plains, and brings in Gisela, which is going to immediately put a clock on the game as he swings the Anya, dealing 8 damage to me when 4 damage is doubled by Gisela. Nick gets another land, plays a island, and then taps 3 in order to sacrifice Burnished Heart and go find a forest and a mountain and put them into play tapped, giving him the mana that he hadn't played in the first couple of turns. He then passes to me. I use Soul Devi to sacrifice Elite Scale Guard, adding 5 black mana to my mana pool. Using that 5, I play Argentum Armor after tapping an additional 1, and with 6 mana still remaining, I immediately put it to Alesha, and when I go to combat, destroy Gisela and deal something like 11 damage, plus 2 damage to him, meaning about 13 damage to him that turn, bringing him dangerously low. But on his turn he plays Magus of the Wheel, a great card in his deck, which doesn't usually have very much draw power, and he passes, leaving Anya up as a blocker. On Nick's turn, he taps 5 and plays Tamiya's Journal, which is an awesome card if you leave it on the battlefield long enough.
Playing Tamiya's Journal, legendary.
He then passes to me. I pay 2 life, draw 2 cards using, I don't remember what card now, can't see it. Play a land for my turn, which is and then Book Burning, which we had a little bit of confusion here. Technically, I thought how it worked is you choose a player, and that player either mills 6 or takes 6 damage, but really it's that player mills 6, or everyone else can choose to take 6 damage, one of them can, instead of me milling. But once we realized the problem, they all decided.
If you want to.
Take the
mill.
mill.
Alright, good.
Screw it. I like you.
Good. I don't like you. Mill.
Then mill 2 more, and go to combat.
Combat. Oh, I don't want to use that.
But decide not to go to combat. I use Soul Devi to sacrifice my Phyrexian Rager to play Rummaging Goblin, just so that Soul Devi doesn't have to attack. I then swing with my Alesha, but Isaac plays Orum's Thunder in response, destroying the Argentum Armor so that I don't destroy anything. And in response to it dealing 6 damage from its kick to Alesha, I pay 2 to bring in Archetype of Finale. Technically, that's a misplay.
Wait, how can you
Technically, if Alesha went to combat, I would choose something and destroy it, and be able to pay the ability if he uses it after I go to combat. But if he played it before, then I'd be able to, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. Isaac then plays Prophetic Ravings on his turn, attaching it to Magus the Wheel. He considers discarding and drawing, but decides that he'd rather keep the card in his hand, and plays a Warstorm Surge instead, which is an awesome card. This whole deck is really actually a very strong deck.
Your end step, I'm tapping my last
Nick then tries to play a Traveler's Amulet at the end of Isaac's turn, but realizes it cannot flash in, so instead he simply allows Isaac to pass, untaps, plays a Mountain, and then plays his Traveler's Amulet.
You can hope your ally is set. 4.
Brings in Padeem to give all his artifacts hexproof, and he taps 1 more to get rid of his Traveler's Amulet and put a land card into his hand, ensuring that he will not miss another land. He then passes, and I immediately bring in Alesha once more.
It's just a 3-2.
Then swing to combat with everything with Death Touch. Seems like a big threat apparently to Nick, so 2 swings at Isaac, and the Archetype of Finality swings at Isaac. But because he doesn't like that Death Touch, Nick decides that he's going to block the Archetype of Finality and trade with his trusty companion. Technically, I don't think we can do that, but we decided to go with it anyway since we've played with those rules for a long time in the playgroup, and we didn't feel like looking it up at the moment. So I just lost the Archetype of Finality, and Nick took 2 damage. I then played Google Claw's Chant to return the Archetype of Finality from the graveyard to my hand, just to annoy them. Isaac plays Plains on his turn, and then taps a whole bunch of mana, 3 specifically, in order to play Stinkdrinker Devil, meaning that all giants are going to cast 2 less for the rest of us. With Warstorm Surge, he deals 1 damage to my Rummaging Goblin, adding insult to injury.
tapping.
Paying 2, Isaac sacrifices his Magus of the Wheel, and we all discard our hand to draw 7 cards, making Nick very sad as he discards a whole bunch of great artifact cards that he's planning on playing. Isaac plays a Assault Monolith, ramping a little harder, and passes to Nick, who investigates, draws his card, draws another one for Padeem, and then plays an island. With all that land, he plays a Myr Battlesphere, giving him 4 little Myr, Doodlets, and a great blocker and a great attacker.
Whenever Myr Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X.
And passes to me, I play a Plains, and siphon the mind of all the other players. Everyone discards a card except for me, and I draw a card for each card discarded that way, which is card advantage, ladies and gentlemen. Then, because I have to swing and don't want to sacrifice Alesha to Soul Devi, I swing
I don't even have
both of them and bring in Elite Scale Guard using Alesha to bolster up my Alesha, dealing 7 damage to Isaac or something like that if he doesn't block. But he blocks it with Anya and only takes the 5 damage while Nick blocks the Soul Devi, meaning only Alesha remains. Isaac plays Mountain on his turn and plays Arbiter of Nullridge. After all those turns, bringing Isaac all the way down to 6 health, we all go right back up to 40, ruining all the work that I had done for so long.
I was hesitant to do that because you would get it.
That's not good for me. My neck's really gonna struggle with that situation.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad for you too.
I just turned that around for myself.
You did. God, that
After celebrating his minor victory, bringing his health back up to the top,
It really is.
Isaac brings in a Mind Stone.
Which
He then swings at me with his Anya, dealing 4 damage in the air that I cannot block. Couldn't block even if he was on the ground.
slightly kind of would like it just ruins this.
and I didn't have.
He then passes to Nick, who investigates, finding a clue. He sacrifices all those clues in order to go search his library for some cool little card that might help him out. He then plays Colony Gem, giving him some generic color fixing, not a whole lot of ramp. And he plays Veteran Motorist, scrying 2.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
he swings Myr Battlesphere at me, thinking I'm the biggest threat on the field, dealing me 12 damage.
So you're gonna take 8, and Isaac, you're gonna
Tapping his Myr in order to deal 4 damage to me, on top of the 8 that the Battlesphere would do,
Oh no, it's defending player, so you take 12 actually.
putting me down very, 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 very low, considering we just got up to 38. In an effort to try and gain some of that life back, I play Urborg Siphon Mage, and then play an Ankle Shanker who has haste and will allow everything that I have to gain First Strike and Death Touch, which is a great little combo, making my attacking creatures basically indestructible to blockers. Using Alesha's ability, I bring in Stonehorn Dignitary from the graveyard, skipping Isaac's next combat step. He blocks. He considers blocking a couple different times. Doesn't quite realize how First Strike Death Touch works. He eventually realizes it's actually a really dumb idea to block any of my creatures, and just takes all the damage. On his turn, he plays a Command Tower, and then Banishing Lights my Alesha, putting it straight into the command zone, and brings in Gisela, his own commander. He then
In response, I'm going to tap 4.
deals 5 damage using Warstorm Surge to his Myr Battlesphere, but he responds with a Scour, eliminating it from the game. He investigates on Nick's turn.
That was unfortunate because that card was doing you a lot of favors.
It was.
Taps a whole bunch of mana.
6. And I'm
And
playing,
plays Chandra.
I'm playing
A shiny Chandra on top of it.
with the
Alright, cool.
So it's like that.
He then pluses her,
Plus
dealing
2.
1 damage to Isaac and 4 damage to me, thanks to Giselle being on the field.
And each player takes. So you take.
Just demonstrates the real strength of Giselle, that it does that. It doesn't matter who's doing the damage, as long as it's to an opponent rather than him.
Oh, I should have attacked with Myr Battles.
I untap on my turn, and Victim of the Night, destroying Gisela, trying to save myself from the incredible board state Isaac's been building up as his mana just increases each turn. I siphon everyone's health, gaining 4 as they all lose 2. Isaac seems to be under the impression that he only loses 1. I then pay 5 to play a card that brings it from the graveyard to the battlefield, returning a fucking Wrath. Marauder, who swings at Isaac, giving everything first strike and death touch. Realizing Anya is now indestructible, he blocks Ankle Shanker and gets rid of that, taking 3 damage, and I put 2+1 counters on my Falconwrath Marauders. Plays a Plains on his turn, taps pretty much everything in order to bring Gisela back into the battlefield, and then he goes to combat swinging at Nick with a very large Gisela now, bringing him down basically to the same health total as me and Isaac, tying the game up a little bit. That's the thing about Gisela, man. He will just bring everyone's health straight down, just ties the game up immediately. Isaac realizes at this point how powerful Anya can be once the late game comes along, as his creature is now getting very close to being a 10/10 indestructible that functionally has double strike thanks to Gisela. Nick plays Chariot of Victory on his turn. And then plays it was an artifact creature that you could pay 1 to get Menace with. I don't remember what creature it was. Not something relevant to the rest of the game. He ups Chandra once again. Isaac takes 1, and I take 4, bringing me down. He then, because he has some extra mana, uses his Sunhome Guildmage in order to build a little 1/1 warrior token. On my turn, I siphon everyone again, trying to regain the health I lost from Chandra. Putting me back up to 20. I then murder Gisela.
Come on!
Yes. Dude, you just saved me.
Oh my
saved myself, bro.
Not cool.
Gosh.
I'm gonna tap 3.
Tapping 3, I haunted Fengraf in order to return something to the battlefield, trying to get some kind of answer to the problem I'm facing. And instead I get a Soldevi on it, which, because I have 2 extra mana, I play him onto the battlefield. And swing Stonehorn and Falconwrath Marauders at Isaac. He blocks Stonehorn and takes 4 damage. 2 in this case. He takes 4 damage. Isaac plays Angel of Serenity, exiling Murder Battlesphere, Falconwrath Marauders, and after a brief debate thinking Sunhome Guildmage had flying, he decides to exile Urborg Siphon Mage instead, realizing I was getting too much health from him. Then, thinking Gisela's on the field, Isaac swings at Nick to try and kill him, take him out of the game.
Oh my gosh, I hate Gisela.
But instead decides not to do that, and swings at me instead with Arbor of Norwich, dealing 6 damage, and then deals 4 damage to Nick, since we were both at half instead of below half. On his turn, Nick plays a Plains, investigates, and sacks all those clues once again to go and search something up. That's a really powerful ability. It's like Vampiric Tutor every 3 turns, but without the cost of paying life. With that, he finds Tower of Calamities and plays it on the battlefield, which I'd never seen before. Really powerful card, going to be probably the most relevant card in the game.
Not my god.
I play Alesha on my turn, and tap 4 to Flashback Right of Return, flashing back, bringing back Stonehorn Dignitary on the battlefield, skipping Isaac's combat step once again.
Oh, yes!
Isaac cheats, wondering if he's going to find some kind of answer to this situation,
I could have done my
finding what he's going to do next turn.
Stonehorn Dignitary.
I then tap Soldevi to get rid of Stonehorn Dignitary, adding mana, and play a Bloodthrone Vampire, because I simply didn't want to attack with Soldevi. On his turn, Isaac plays Borderland Behemoth, giving him a few more giants.
+4 for each giant.
And then, in response to having so many giants, plays Thundercloud Shaman, dealing 3 damage to everything on the battlefield that is not a giant, which ends up absolutely obliterating my board state as I sacrifice Soldevi and Alesha to make Bloodthrone Vampire survive that. Nick, for his part, thinks that he can try and survive by destroying one of those creatures, but realizes that it still enters the battlefield, so he loses everything and pays 8, using his Tower of Calamities to destroy the Angel of Serenity, bringing back all of our creatures, which still does not rival Isaac's board state.
because he... Well, I'm going
His turn, Nick
6.
ups
Everybody-
Chandra once again, dealing
Next turn.
2 damage to everybody. And then he swings with his Mer Battle Sphere at Isaac.
How big is that?
He's an 8.
7. I'm gonna block.
I'm going to
And
tap
Isaac
this.
tries to block with Borderland Behemoth,
8.
but instead Nick taps his Tower of Calamities and deals exactly 12 damage to Borderland Behemoth, just enough to kill him without Gisela on the field. So Borderland Behemoth dies. Isaac takes no damage despite little misplay there. On my last turn of the game, I play Mortuary Mire, returning Stonehorn Dignitary onto the top of my library, hoping to try and save myself next turn,
We might not make it, guys.
and then discard using Urborg Siphon Mage,
Everyone loses
gaining 4 life as everyone else loses 2,
I do
You know what?
really-
I'm gonna make you
and
choose.
swing
I'm gonna
both
deal
of my
1
creatures
damage
at
to Chandra.
Nick, trying to keep them alive, but targeting
You hear that?
Chandra with the Bloodthorn Vampire and his health with Falkenrath Marauders in order to try and put those +1 counters on him.
Yeah, that's
You do damage to
So
it.
I take 2 damage.
exactly. So I get my +1 counters.
You shouldn't have. Because then I
I
can.
didn't have
On
a
his
choice.
turn,
I don't have a
Isaac
choice.
brings
I
in
have
Giselle
personality
for
power.
what
I can
will be
attack
the
him,
last
lose my
time.
creature to attack you and save him.
Wait, before you do that though.
In response,
Before my
Isaac tries to move into his combat step, but Nick responds to Giselle entering the battlefield by dealing 4 damage to his Thundercloud Shaman with card. I didn't catch as we were playing, but he ends up putting him in the graveyard
Oh, before
as Giselle enters, limiting Isaac to only 2 creatures that can attack this turn. And he decides to absolutely obliterate me with his Anya and deal 10 damage or so.
No.
I think it was 10 damage to Nick,
Okay.
bringing him from 12 down to 2, putting me out of the game, leaving it up to Nick to try and save himself from the horde of angels and giants.
This guy went up to 3.
On his turn, he does get a clue, allowing him to search for some kind of answer to the situation out of his library. He searches up and plays his win condition, It That Betrays.
And attaching Chariot.
And, fortunately, having enough mana, he attaches Chariot of Victory, swinging and hoping that Isaac will sacrifice something meaningful.
So
But even with both creatures attacking, after they do the math, doing 2 damage with the Mer Battle Sphere to him, and 11 damage with the unblocked It That Betrays. Isaac blocks with his Gisela, and even after Nick does the math, even after he uses Chandra in order to destroy Giselle and nothing else, Isaac is able the next turn to swing in with his 2 creatures, dealing 2 damage or more to Nick, leaving the game completely ended. So that's the game. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really good demonstration of what the Wade Into Battle Precon deck can do. If you're thinking about getting it, I would highly recommend it. I think it is a lot more powerful with Giselle as its commander than the original Giant that comes as its commander. The double strike and gaining a +1 counter, or experience counter technically, from each card you play with converted mana cost 5 or greater is really strong and very, very aggressive. I've seen him play that several times, and he's really just obliterated me a lot with that card when he pulls it out at the 99, but with Giselle at the helm, he's able to not only make it so that he deals more damage to his opponents, but also the opponents deal less damage to him, and that just saves him over and over again. He'll win as soon as Giselle comes out and can stay on the battlefield for long enough, he'll win within a couple of turns, typically. I think Nick's deck, it was a decent demonstration. Nick kind of got mana screwed in the beginning with his Padeem deck, however, by the end he was able to make a few valuable plays using his Tamio's Journal to search up Tower of Calamities and keep Giselle off the field for a couple of turns until Isaac was able to play it while it was tapped and essentially win from that turn on. He did manage to get his win condition, It That Betrays, onto the battlefield and have a little bit of fun with that, even if it wasn't able quite to save him. On my side of the Alesha deck, I almost was able to bring Isaac all the way down until Arbor of Norridge came in and saved the day for him. Arbor of Norridge was really probably the MVP for that game, as I would have probably been able to sweep Isaac off the battlefield if Arbor of Norridge hadn't come in, and then begin cleaning up Nick once Curse of Nightly Hunt was off of my deck. However, at the end of the day, there were a lot of misplays throughout the game. There were several times where Isaac didn't take the amount of damage he was supposed to take because he thought Giselle was on the battlefield, or he thought that Giselle's effect was working against this particular Urborg Siphon Mage. It might have been a little bit closer. It might even have been the end of the game we caught some of those misplays. On my part, I also missed several plays. We had the Orum's Thunder mishap and a couple of other ones on Nick's part and a few others. So we're just bad at Magic, I guess. But we had a lot of fun, and we're hoping to play some more games in the future. We have one more that I'm hoping to edit pretty soon and put out on the internet, so look forward to watching that, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, leave comments, whatever you thought of the decks or of the gameplay, and commanders you might want to see later on. Once again, thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing some more from us.